this presentation is called Nutrition Labels 101, and I'm basically going to tell you guys how to read the nutrition labels, being it's something that we look at every day, and I've found that most people don't know how to read them. So hopefully this helps. All right, what we're going to do, I got my media aid. This is the nutrition label for a 100-gram candy bar, which I'm sure we're all familiar with. And it's just summed up on there. I couldn't copy and paste it, so that's this right here. Everyone knows it. He's got one. All right. So that's the 100 gram right there, and then this basically is everything that's written on the nutrition label on the back of it. And you got your calories, your nutrients, and your macronutrients. So what those are is we'll break it down. So your serving size for one of these, there's 6 bars in there. So there's 2 bars is a serving. Out of the 6, that means there's 3 servings within this. Okay, your calories per serving is 190, and the calories that came from fat out of that are 70. So out of 190, 70 of them come from fat. So let's take a closer look at what that means. All right, so once again, in 2 100-gram bars, you got 190 calories that come from fat. So how does that, or excuse me, 70 of those 190 come from fat. So in order to compute that total, what they did was they took 8 grams of total fat, going back here, 8 grams of total fat, and then what they did was they take that, and you multiply it by 9 calories per gram, gives you about 72 calories, and anybody who creates these, they always round it to the nearest 10, so that's where your 70 calories from fat come from. Does that make sense? All right. So now we got that. Once again, you have your 8 grams of fat, and that's branched down here. So you got 5 of those 8 total grams are from saturated fat for your 2 candy bars. Then 0 from trans-saturated fat. So then your other 3 grams, which are not labeled on the back, whoops. So you only have 5 grams labeled up there. So your other 3 grams come from unsaturated fats. I don't know why that's doing that. Okay, so we're going to assume they're from unsaturated fats. Now your next part on there is going to be cholesterol, which is going to be 5 milligrams. That's not a nutrient, that's a macronutrient, which means your body don't need as much. And that's basically a wax-like substance, and your body creates it on its own. That's why we want to limit that intake. So 5 milligrams, really good compared to eggs or something like that. Since your body makes it on its own, we don't need as much of it from food. Sodium, 90 milligrams. Sodium is an electrolyte, helps your muscles function. You don't want to eat too much, so 90 milligrams, great. Once again, if you eat too much, you're going to get hypertension or high blood pressure, and that's where that comes from. The next part on there is carbohydrates, 30 grams. 22 grams of that 30 comes from sugars, and the other 8 come from starch, which is basically a really long strand of sugar. And you're going to have 1 gram of protein. Now at the very bottom, these are your macronutrients, which are nutrients that you need in smaller doses. In order for these to be a sufficient source, you're going to want something that says at least 20%, which, as you can see, the 100 gram is not a sufficient source of any vitamins or minerals. Surprise, surprise. All right. Now, to break down the whole thing into your calories, which are your energy, down into from your nutrients, you're going to take there's 9 calories per gram when it comes to fat. So if you have 8 grams of fat, that means 70 of those 190 calories come from fat. 72 of them, rounded to 70, come from fat. Carbohydrates, you're going to take your 4 calories per gram. So you take your 30 grams of carbs, times that by 4, that gives you 120. Then you have 1 gram of protein, and that gets times by 4 calories, and you're going to end up with 196. And once again, they usually round it down to the nearest 0. They will never round it up. So that equals your 190 calories, and that is how the calories are broken down. And that's it.
Thanks very much. Nice work.